Hello friends, my name is Firoz Khan and I'm your faculty for discussing the today's test. That was the first test that was on geography that you have attempted for your JKS services. I congratulate all of the students who are writing this test series, and I hope that they all get success. So let's discuss the test, which is the explanation of the test, that how to structure it and how to identify the demand of the questions. So this is very important part of writing the answer in a very brief and in a time bound manner, right? So let's understand that first question of your test which you have attempted. I first let you know this, that you have attempted your test, but many of you haven't attempted all the questions of the test, which is the very important part of having a good score in the exams and the rank. If you're not attempting all the questions, it means that you are out of competitions, or you may not be, or maybe chances are that you are out of the competitions, because many of the students might be attempting all the questions, even though they might be writing answers of lesser quality, but at least they will get some marks of it, right? So that was the first questions of your test. Explain the role of plate tectonics in the formation of major landforms. So this is the question. This is the command word that you have to explain, and this is the demand of the question, that you have to explain the role of plate tectonics in the formation of major landforms. Just try to read the question and again, and just try to identify that the landforms are the major, not all landforms. The major landforms, that is the important part of understanding the demand of the questions and writing the answer in a time bound manner. If it is 10 marks question and 150 words, you see that the introduction must be around 30 words. Same for the conclusion, 30 words. And rest of the words will be used for the body part. So here, first you have to start your answer. The purpose of the introduction is just to identify the demand of the question and let the examiner know that you have understood the demand of the question. So let's see that what you can write. So you will try to explain that what is the meaning of plate tectonics. You can also explain it. So this is just the description of plate tectonics. Description, you can describe only the plate tectonics or the theory of the plate tectonics, which you must have studied in your geography subjects. You can also briefly describe the role of plate tectonics. You can also describe that what is the link between plate tectonics and the landforms, which are the major landforms which are formed out of the as a result of the plate tectonics. When plates move, they move towards each other, they move away from each other, they move slide towards each other. So there are three types of that directions of the movement of the plates, which you can understand that divergent plates move apart, convergent plates move towards each other, and the transform plates slide past each other. So as a result of that, major landforms, mountains, volcanoes, such as these landforms are formed, right? So the possible introduction for this question is that you might describe the plate tectonics, you might briefly describe the role, you might describe the link between plate tectonics and the major landforms. So in three ways you can start your introductions. I call it CTP, the context, topic and purpose. The purpose is the role. Role means the focus of plate tectonics. So this is how you can write your introduction in just 30 words, right? So this is the understanding of the first question of your test. So as a result, you will be writing the introduction. So major landforms are the mountains, major landforms are the mountains. The first is mountains. Now, under the mountains, you will see that what are the major geographical changes, the geological changes, which are as a result of moving of the plates towards each other or maybe away from each other. So, the first phenomena, which is the basis for formation of the mountains, is that continental convergence. This is the convergence which we can see as an example. We can identify this type of convergence in Great Indian Himalayas. You see that two plates are converging each other, and as a result of that, the Himalayas have been formed, right? Second important phenomena which you can see, that oceanic continental convergence. Oceanic continental convergence. So the focus of plate tectonics first is to build mountains, second is to build volcanoes, third is to build earthquakes and faults. This is not a this is basically as a result of the earthquakes, some changes are there. So that is also the movement of the plates. So this is as a result, some landforms are fault block mountains, linear valleys, rift valleys. All these are major landforms which have been formed as a result of earthquakes and the faults. Ocean trenches and mid-ocean ridges. So you already know that Mariana Trench is the deepest point in the ocean. You know that all these you must have studied. So this is the structure, that the first focus of the plate tectonics is to build mountains. Under that, these are the two processes which are being active, and as a result the mountains have been formed, right? So these are the few points which you can write about in the first questions. Rift valleys, continental divergent boundaries. As a result of the divergence of the boundaries, the continental rift valleys are formed, right? In India, we also have, the example is given, the East African rift, right? Now the summary, the conclusion. Conclusion is basically, you see that conclusion, many of you haven't attempted question properly. You haven't attempted all the parts of the questions. You see that conclusion is basically summary of your answer along with a suggestion. So you can majorly you can summarize all the major points. Like we have seen that, what are the major points? These are the major points: mountains, volcanoes, earthquakes, rift valleys, trenches, mid-ocean ridges. These are the major landforms which have been formed as a result of the plates movements, sudden movement of the plates, and you just can summarize all these points briefly. It is just a summary. So here we do not need to mention a suggestion, because this is a natural phenomena. You cannot do anything, but you can also suggest in this question as well, that once you summarize your answer, you can also connect it with the sustainable development. So what you have to do, you have to summarize the answer. You have to summarize the answer and connect with a suggestion. Summary plus a suggestion. So you summarize your answer in a way that you connect it with the suggestion. Suggestion can be sustainable development, that we have to maintain sustainable development so that we can minimize the losses due to sudden movement of the plates, like earthquakes. This is the sudden movement of the plate, and due to that we see that there is a lot of damages to the property and the lives. But what is important in that, we should maintain a sustainable development in that situation, so that we reduce the damages due to the sudden movement of the plates. So you can connect this question with the sustainable development. This is a very good conclusion part, right? So you are connecting with another theme of the question. Question is of another theme and conclusion is of another theme, right? So this is the first question that you have to write about. This was the expected from you, that you write all these points and write introduction and conclusion in a way. One more thing, many of you haven't structured your answer properly. Please use headings and the alphanumerics, so that you categorize points from, you differentiate one point from the another point. That is also very important, right? Now let's understand the second question. Second was discuss the impact of the climate change on the Indian monsoon system. Many of you just this is the command word, and the demand of the question is that impact of climate change on the Indian monsoon system. So there are similarly many ways to write introduction. You just can only describe what is Indian monsoon system. It is unique to the region. It is reversal. You can also describe the relationship between the climate change and the Indian monsoon. You can also briefly describe the impact, which you are going to explain it in the body part, right? Discuss is the command word. You have to write your answer according to the command word, right? So there are multiple ways that you can start with. So the question has a demand, impact of the climate change on the Indian monsoon system. See, what is climate change? What are its elements? Rainfall, the climate change can affect rainfall, its circulation. The climate change can also affect the warming of Indian Ocean. Warming of Indian Ocean. The climate change can also affect El Nino, La Nino. In a multiple ways, climate change can affect Indian monsoon system, because monsoon system has all these features. If the Indian Ocean warms, so the vaporization or the moisture will increase, which will affect the interaction between the ocean and the atmosphere. That may also affect the movement of Indian monsoon systems, because the gradient has to be towards Indian subcontinent. But if there is a rise of or the warming of Indian Ocean, you see that there will be a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, which may affect the circulation of the winds which are carrying the water. Right? It can weaken the circulations, it can affect the rainfalls, it can affect the rainfall distribution, right? It can affect the process of El Nino and La Nino. So you were supposed to write the changes in rainfall can happen just because of climate change, because there can be increased variability in the monsoon. There can be increased variability in the rainfall pattern. Monsoon has become basically difficult to be predicted. You see, just because of the climate change, 1 degree Celsius change can affect the climate and the rainfall system very greatly, right? You see that there is an uneven distribution of the rainfall, somewhere excess rainfall, somewhere the flooding. You see that Indian cities are being flooded. This is the big issue, the urban flood, You see that is because of the climate change, because somewhere the rainfall is to be seen that it is its frequency, its intensity is increasing, but somewhere you see that there is a conditions of the dryness, right? So this is supposed to that you have to link the climate change and the Indian monsoon systems, because if climate change happens, the temperature changes, the rainfall changes, the pressure changes, air pressure changes, all this can happen because of the various man-made innovations like burning of the coal, burning of the fossil fuels, burning of the plastics. You see that there are a lot of issues which are affecting the climate. If because of us, we see that there is a changes in the element of the climate change. Climate change, the climate, it has a very number of elements: temperature, pressure, rainfall, humidity. If anything happens to be seen to be changes changes in the climate, you see that it will affect the Indian monsoon system, and India is very much dependent on the Indian monsoon system. This is, you have to link. First, you will see that there will be change in the element of the climate. It can be temperature, pressure, humidity, and then you have to show the impact of change in that element on the Indian monsoon system, right? If temperature changes, it might affect the withdrawal and the coming of the Indian monsoon system to the Indian subcontinent, right? This was supposed to be the probable answer for this question. Impact. So impact of climate change. Impact of climate change. So impact of climate change, it means that impact of temperature, impact of humidity, impact of pressure, impact of atmospheric pressure. So there are a lot of elements of the climate, like weather. So any changes in that you will have to prove, you will have to show, you will have to discuss that it has an impact of Indian monsoon system, right? So when changes in rainfall patterns, you see that there is an increased variability, uneven distribution, intense rainfall events, just because of changes in rainfall patterns, because of temperature. If temperature changes, you see that the process of condensation and vaporization process changes. That is something, it brings changes in the process of formation of the clouds, thereby condensation of the clouds, thereby rainfall system, right? So another, that it may weaken the monsoon circulations. You see that warming of Indian oceans and the rapid Arctic ice melts is believed to weaken the land sea temperature. So there is a process of land sea temperature, there is a process of gradient between the land and sea. When we see that there is a gradient, there is a movement of rain, there is a movement of wind which brings water from the Indian Ocean to the Indian subcontinent. So that circulation may also be affected, right? Another, the warming of the Indian Ocean. This is a very factual thing, that Indian Ocean is warming faster than the global average, which is affecting the ocean atmospheric interactions. You also see that there is an impact of El Nino and La Nino. If there is a change in the climate, you will see that the process of El Nino and La Nino will also change, which will also affect the process of Indian monsoon system. Climate change, if there is a change in the climate, it will intensify El Nino southern oscillation patterns, which are closely tied to the monsoon system. If there is a El Nino years, so you see that there is a weaker monsoon. If there is a La Nino, you see that there is a strengthened monsoon system. stronger rains, right? So there are various reports like IPCC reports and the reports of various committees in India as well, and India's views on the climate change, Paris Agreement. So you can conclude your answer by taking reference of any of these reports or the committees or the councils which are of nature of international, because this is something very international. Because one country is affected, it also means that the other countries will also be affected, because production in India also feeds the other countries. We have exports in rice, in exports in various commodities which are very much required for the human survival, right? So let's try to understand that. Let's move to the next question, that is third question. Describe the significance of mangroves in coastal ecosystem management, right? Describe. Describe is the command word. And what is the demand of the question? Significance of mangroves in coastal ecosystem management. So here the significance is very specific. Coastal ecosystem management. So we have coastal ecosystems, we have variety of ecosystems along the coastal areas of the country. We have very big coastal lines in the country on both sides of the country, east and west. Now see that describe the significance. Describe is something, is a command word. It means that you have to just describe as it is, as you can see it. Just like imagine there is a portrait, and in that portrait there is a picture, and all the features in that pictures are available. You just describe those features as it is, which you can see on the portrait, right? So in these questions, what you have to do, you have to describe the significance. What significance you can see when you go to the coastal areas? What is the significance of the mangroves? What is the ecological significance of mangroves in that ecosystem? You see that there is a marine ecosystem in that area, where you see that there is a mergence ecotone areas, where the merging of fresh water and the saline water is also there. You see that a lot of benefits can be seen, lot of positive things can be seen of just because that mangroves are available in those ecosystems. If you remove those ecosystems from those ecosystems, you will see that those ecosystems will also dead. So in introduction, what you will do, you will describe that what is mangrove, or you can also relate mangrove and ecosystem, that how the mangrove, what is the importance of mangrove in ecosystem, what is the ecosystem, and why do we need biotic and non-biotic components in the ecosystem. So you can start with that, or you just can highlight the significance of the mangroves in that ecosystem. You just briefly can describe that. So this is the way that you can start your introductions in just 30 words. You just have to explain to the examiner that I have understood the demand of the question, and this is something that we need to understand. So you in introduction part, the introduction part has only one function, that is to explain to the examiner that you have understood the demand of the question properly. And this is the context of the question. You can also highlight any example that lot of mangroves have been destroyed in mangrove areas in the country. So you can take those examples by highlighting the need of the mangroves in that system, because mangroves in that area have been removed. We have seen such problems, and because of these things, the mangroves were supposed to be protected in those ecosystems, right? So you can also start with that. That is called context. So you are creating context by taking a particular reference, particular example, just highlighting the significance of the mangroves, right? So you see that significance is, first is coastal protection, the coastal protection area. Second is biodiversity hotspots. Third is carbon sequestration. The fourth is water filtration. The fifth is livelihoods and resources, disaster risk reduction. threats and the need for conservation. So there are multiple significance. It protects it protects from a disaster, because a lot of cyclones happens to be on the coastal areas. So you see that mangroves protects the those areas from the high speed winds, cyclonic winds. They protect it. They are the natural barriers. They protect it from the flooding of the areas. It protects the biodiversity hotspots, because when you see that when two ecosystem, fresh water and the saline water ecosystems merge, there's another ecosystem that is called ecotone areas, where you see that there is a lot of diversity of animals, lot of diversity in life, trees, etc. So you see that these areas are very hotspot, and they are very much important for the life of humans as well. So protection of these biodiversity hotspots is also happens to be because of the mangroves present in those ecosystems, right? Carbon sequestrations, it also stores carbon in its roots, right? Carbon rich forest, right? Water filtration, it also filtrates water. It also provides livelihoods and resources. A lot of biodiversity resources are available which can be used for the medicinal uses, etc. So many uses can be there. It reduces disaster. It is very important that we have to protect the mangroves. So you also provide a way forward to it, right? And finally, the summary. So you will highlight the importance of mangroves in the sustainable development, or you can connect it with the sustainable development. You can also connect with any government of India's efforts. You can take any reference of the committee which is based which is referring to the protection of the mangroves. So such things can be used to summarize your answer. That will be a good answer, right? The next question is, analyze the challenges of urbanization in India with respect to sustainable development, right? So basically, this is the command word, analyze. So you have to analyze the challenges of urbanization. Challenges of urbanization. See, challenge is something when we try to do something, we are getting obstructions. There is a difficulty in doing that. So we want to have a urban space, but we have been obstructed to make that urban space a sustainable urban space. So this is the demand of the questions. There are some challenges in making urban areas a sustainable urban areas. We want to ensure that our urban spaces are sustainable urban spaces. The climate is protected, the environment is protected, the biodiversity is protected, the humans are protected, trees are protected, everything is protected. There shall be no unnecessary hitting of the areas, because you see that there are urban heat islands. This is just because of concretization of spaces. So this is something that you have to understand the demand of the question. Analyze the challenges of urbanization in context of sustainable development. We want to make our urban space sustainable urban space, but you see that we are unable to do that because there are certain challenges in that. So you have to analyze those challenges, whether they are actually the challenges or not, right? The first such challenge is overcrowding and infrastructure stress. There is a strain because the infrastructure is very less and the population is huge, or available infrastructure is catering to the needs of the huge population. So this is something very much relevant, very much understood, that this is a big challenge, that you have only less space, huge population, and that is creating stress or the strain on that infrastructure, leading to collapse of bridges, leading to damage of areas like garbage dumping. This is a very big issue, which is we see that in cities the management of the garbage becomes very difficult because population is huge, but the recycling of the garbage is not in compatible to the not in conformity to the its creation. Garbage is there, but its recycling is very poor, right? So overcrowding and infrastructure restraints, it leads to Indian cities are growing faster than their infrastructure can keep up. So infrastructure is not building up, but the population is rising. This is one such issue. And another such issue is that inadequate housing, traffic congestions, water shortages, frequent power outages, and poor sanitation. You can see that in cities like Delhi, these all such problems are there. There's a traffic congestion, less infrastructure, but huge population, huge number of cars on the roads. Now the summers is coming, and you see that there will be the use of car will increase because it protects you from the harmful sun rays. So in that situation, you will see that there will be a lot of congestions, lot of hitting from the emissions of the cars, that will also emitting the greenhouse gas emissions, that will further create a greenhouse kind of situation. Right? There are a lot of slums in the cities. And there is a data on that. Over 65 million people live in slum areas, right? Another important challenge is that there are natural resources, but population is huge. There is a pressure on existing natural resources, that how we can use and which part of the population will use it first. So there is an issue, because natural resources availability is very less, but the users are in large numbers, right? So urban expansion is basically, when you expand urban areas, you will see that you're cutting lot of trees. If you're cutting lot of trees, the groundwater recharge will be difficult. So it means that you are depleting the groundwater. So this is another big challenge for you to create a sustainable development. We want cities where we have a lot of groundwater. We shall not affect the groundwater availability. So this is how it is creating another challenge, right? River pollution, waste management systems, right? Another challenge is air and noise pollution. Air and noise pollution. You see that cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata suffer from high levels of air pollution because there are a lot of vehicles. The purchasing power increasing. In summers, you see that a lot of cars are used, ACs are run, so you see that a lot of pollutions. We already discussed this point, right? Industrial activities in cities, lot of affluence is that which is being emitted in the rivers, in the water bodies. So this is another big issue in the country, which is another challenge in having the sustainable urban space, right? The another challenge is inclusive urban planning, right? This is another challenge because you see that there are slums, there are categorizations of areas on the basis of educated, non-educated, high net worth income society, or low, middle, etc. So there is a categorization of that. You see that this is another challenging, that it is not inclusive, because inclusiveness is the component of the sustainable development and which is being affected here, right? Another challenge is carbon footprint and the climate vulnerability, right? Easy to understand. So you see that the another important challenge is that there is a policy gap. When you have a policy but you don't see its effectiveness, you don't judge its effectiveness, because you see that there is this was the idea of smart cities, which is supposed to be implemented by the government of India, but still it is lagging behind, right? There are other schemes which are under implementation but being implemented unevenly. You have only 100 smart cities. You don't have the complete India as a smart, right? So there are some SDG goals which are very much connected to the various aspects, challenges. So let's see that what is the way forward to this question, because when you have challenges in the question, when you have concerned issues in the question, you must provide a way forward to the question, and after way forward you must provide a conclusion, right? So there are various suggestions which can be seen from here. Sustainable public transport, green buildings like electric vehicles now being promoted by the government of India through policies, through incentives, subsidies, etc. Inclusive the participation of the community in the governance, right? Engagement of the urban local bodies in maintaining the challenges which the cities are facing, like garbage dumping, right? Planning, right? So the possible, let's see now the conclusion. Conclusion is, as I already told you, that the summary of your answer along with a suggestion. So you summarize your answer and connect with a suggestion. That is the summary of answer. So this is the possible conclusion that you can write in this question. Next questions, that is evaluate the role of rivers in shaping the cultural and economic landscape of India. Role of rivers in shaping the cultural and economic landscape of India. So you see that evaluate. This is the command word, role of rivers. So the role is given specific in the formation, shaping the culture and shaping the economic landscape. So rivers have been playing a very important role in the cultural aspects or the economic aspects. Culture is a way of life. Way of life. So rivers affecting the way of life. Culture can be your religion. Religion is part of culture. The arts, the way of the use of water. The lot of people using rivers as a mark of respect for the deities. There is a religious feelings attached to the rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. These are the rivers. There is a very much the religious significance of the rivers. You also see that there is a economic significance. The water is being used by the industries for manufacturing water bottles. It is also affecting your agriculture, because water is very much required for the agriculture part. Water is also being used for the transport. So there are the number of areas, how the way of life is being changed. A way of life can be religious, non-religious, both aspects. The economic aspects, agriculture, transport, etc., etc. So what you have to do, you take reference of such rivers, take reference of such examples and describe it in the introduction part in just 30 to 40 words. This is 250 words question, so it means that intro shall be around 40 words, conclusion around 40 words, rest of the words will be used for the body part, right? So evaluation of the role of rivers in shaping the cultural and economic landscape of India. Now evaluate is that you give a valuable judgment to the functioning, the role of rivers, valuable judgment, whether it has given the good, bad or indifferent. What do you think? What the role the rivers had played in shaping the cultural and economic landscape? Is it something good? Is it something happened to be for a positive, something happened to be for the development of the human civilizations? So this is something you have to evaluate it. When you will be writing the role of the rivers, like for the economic aspects is provide water to the agriculture, which is very much important. Yes, the water is being provided, but you see that the water is being heavily used. The more water is being used for less number of crops. So this is something evaluation that it is not good. When you have sustainable practices, you have sustainable modern technology where we can use water efficiently and effectively, like drip irrigation and sprinklers. So you see that the role of the rivers played in formation of the cultural landscape and economic aspects played a very important role, and now you have to explain it to the examiner, that how do you evaluate it, right? So the cultural significance, it can be for religious and spiritual importance, right? The centers of civilizations are formed around the rivers. Indus Valley civilization formed on the river banks. Many festivals are celebrated, like Kumbh Mela. We had seen that recently the Kumbh Mela was celebrated, right? So these are the cultural aspects. Now the economic aspects, it is used in agriculture, used for making electricity, for industrial use, fisheries, livelihoods, aquaculture. It is very big, very much famous. You see the coastal areas or away from the coastal areas where you see that aquaculture is very much a practice, very much being used for having economic gains. So people are using it for tourism, right? So at the same time, rivers are facing some challenges, some issues, some concerns, that they are being polluted in the name of religion, in the name of culture, that the people are throwing waste, plastics, which is not acceptable to the ecosystem, because plastic is something which destroys the ecosystem of that area, ecology of that area. You see that when you throw plastic in the river, when the animals of the water, marine animals, they eat it, it stores in their body. And when you see that lot of fishes eating that plastic, having that, and you see that lot of those fishes are reaching from the water to the table of the humans. You see that when humans eat that, so it becomes an issue, because now you see that what does it call, bioaccumulation. The two environmental issues which are very much related to the plastic pollutions or any other material which is not biodegradable, the bioaccumulation and biomagnification, right? So plastic accumulates in the body of these animals which are eaten by the humans or other animals, right? So by highlighting that challenge or the concerns, you just conclude your answer. So you summarize your answer, then connect with the suggestion, right? So next question is, discuss the importance of renewable energy. Discuss the importance of renewable energy sources in mitigating climate change. So, discuss. Discuss is the command word which means impact. So, there is an impact of renewable energy sources on mitigating climate change. Impact in mitigation of climate change. Impact, because it has this impact, that is why it is important. This impact is importance. Renewable energy sources has certain impacts. This is its importance. This is its importance because this impact is actually mitigating the climate change. It is regulating the temperature, pressure, etc., the elements of the climate, because the change in climate, it means the change in temperature, change in pressure, change in rainfall, change in humidity, etc., the elements of the climate, right? So you see that the demand of the question is highlighting the impact of the renewable energy sources. So what are the possible impacts? So you write the introduction. How you can write the introduction for this? Right? You can briefly describe these are the renewable energy sources which do not emit any climate change gases like greenhouse gases. So this is how you can start your answer, by just describing energy sources, what is renewable energy and why it is important, because it does not emit the greenhouse gases, what is a climate change gas. Right, so this is how you can start with. You can take example of Paris Agreement, you can take example of IPCC, which has recommended for the use of renewable energies. So there are a lot of targets, Panch Amrit targets for addressing the climate change. So this is, you can take any reference and can start your answer by introducing it. So the first importance is reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions, primary cause of climate change. As everybody knows that CO2, CH4, these are the greenhouse gases. Right? It also provides clean alternatives. Energy sustainability and security. It also ensures sustainability and security because it is infinite. The sun energy, wind energy, it is infinite. Water energy, infinite. Right? It also ensures energy independence. There are the health and environmental benefits. It provides clean air. It preserves ecosystems. Right? It also provides economic opportunities. Green jobs, this is the issue of the government of India, that it provides jobs, but the green jobs specifically, to be specific. Right? It also supports global climate goals. You can take reference of Paris Agreement, NDCs of the government of India. It provides complementary technologies. And then the conclusion. So you will summarize the answer and then connect with a suggestion. You can take a reference of Paris Agreement, IPCC report. You can also connect with any quote of Prime Minister Modi, whatever being said on the addressing the issue of the climate change and how the renewables can address that. Right? Next question is, explain the concept of agroclimatic zones and their relevance to agriculture planning in India. So in introduction, you will start with agroclimatic zones. You will start with that. You will provide a definition to it, and then will also, these are the factors. You can make a flow chart of it. And address that. These are the factors of the agroclimatic zones on the basis of which it is categorized. Right? Climatic conditions, soil types, topography, water resources and vegetation and the land use, because every area, every region is considered to be a specific agroclimatic zone on the basis of these factors, that what kind of condition it has, what kind of soil it has, what kind of topography it has, the relief, right? The water availability of the water resources, what kind of natural vegetation is there, and what for which purpose the land is being used. Right? And this categorization, defining the agroclimatic zones, it has a very much relevance in agriculture planning. If you take reference of agroclimatic zones and make agroclimatic zones by considering these factors, you see that we can plan our agriculture. It can optimize resources. It can make efficiency in use of labor. We can see that if this particular area in this particular season is having this climate, having this type of soil, so by having this particular crop in that area, we can see that we will be having more productivity. So by having this agroclimatic zones as a component of agriculture planning may impact on various aspects. We also have the target of doubling of farmers' income. That is a very big concern in the country. But you see that when you reduce losses to the farmers in terms of losses of crops, which might be affected due to the pest or for any reasons, might be for any other reasons. So you see that when you have proper planning, you can optimize, you can diversify crops, you can optimize the productivity of the crops, you can optimize the use of input resources, so which will optimize, bring efficiency and the effectiveness, because it has higher productivity, right? So it has a very much, it provides crop selection and diversification. It will help in resource optimization. It will help in sustainable agriculture, which is very much required. It will help in development of regional infrastructure, that which area requires what kind of infrastructure, right? It will also help in risk management and climate resilience. When we plan properly, we will see that this type of climate will having such type of crops, right? It will also help in policy formations and exchange services. So these are the few examples of agroclimatic zones in India which you can use in western areas, Himalayan region, lower Gangetic Plain, western dry region, southern plateau. So this is how you're supposed to write the conclusion part. You summarize your answer and we'll connect with a suggestion, right? Analyze the impact of globalizations on the geographical distribution of industries in India. Analyze. This is analysis. Impact of globalization on the geographical distribution of industries. This is the demand of the question. Impact of globalization on the geographical distribution of industries. If we are in India, so there is a distribution of industries. You see that western part is more industrial, southern part is more industrial, eastern part is less industrial. So there must be some regions of globalizations. So you have to see that when we started connecting or integrating with the outer world, we see that there is an impact on establishment of industries. When we started integrating with outside world, there was an impact on industries. So now you have to analyze this impact. That what exactly is this, right? So when we were opened our economy in 1991, we saw that there was a shift from traditional industries regions to the emerging clusters. That was a shift. Post globalization, there has been a decentralization of industries. You see that the market was open, the licenses, getting licenses or the license Raj was cancelled, was stopped. So we saw that there was a huge, you see that the restrictions on the industrial part was reduced, right? Growth of information technology and service industry. This also happened in Bangalore, Gurgaon. These are the areas where we see that there is a growth of IT industry. So because there was access to the skilled labor, urban infrastructure and international connectivity often diverging from the traditional industrial belts. Another important impact was that influence of FDI. So when we started integrating with the outside world, we saw that lot of foreign investment came into India. So there was more investment in certain areas, less investment in other areas. You see that automobile and electronics industry was risen. These trends have redistributed industrial activity towards states with proactive economic reforms and stable governance. Where you see that there is a stable governance, there is a more investment. A few years back, we saw that there was an incident in Gurugram Maruti Suzuki plant. You saw that you might be coming across that news that there was deaths of certain people there, and because of that Maruti planned to shift it to another area. So that is something that you have to provide stable governance in those areas where a lot of investment can come, right? Emerging smart cities, industrial corridors, a lot of investment is seen, right? Rural, urban and regional disparities. That is also the reason which we see that the disparities rose, because some areas got massive industrial investment, but some areas didn't get up to that level, or might be a very small level, right? So there was an exposure to the technologies and global supply chains, and that also affected the industrial belts. So that's it. Another way that you have to conclude your answer by summarizing your answer and connect with the suggestion. Next question is, examine the role of the Himalayas in influencing the climate and biodiversity of the Indian subcontinent. Examine the role of the Himalayas in influencing the climate and biodiversity of the Indian subcontinent. So, in all geographical questions, you must use maps, diagrams, flowcharts, which is very important because it enhances the visual representation of your answer. I seriously appreciate the copies I have gone through. I saw that many of that you have used maps, diagrams. That is very appreciable, and you must use in geography paper the all types of diagrams. You should describe the process through diagram, etc., etc. Right? So the demand of the question is that examine. This is the command word, and this is the role of the Himalayas. So you will, after the introduction, you will draw the map of Himalayas, and then you will show the Himalayas on the map, and then you will start writing your answer, the body part, right? So the role can be, you first describe the role, what role it plays, and how these roles affect the climate and biodiversity of the Indian subcontinent. In the map, you must show this is the Indian subcontinent, these are the Himalayas. Now you see that how logically the role is connected to the climate. The Himalayas influence climate. Climatic influence of the Himalayas. They are a barrier to the cold winds. Because they are the barrier, that is why we can see that we have variety of seasons, variety of climates in the Indian subcontinent part. Otherwise, we would have been frozen, right? There is a warmer climate in northern India during winter. It is not too cold that we cannot bear it, right? Monsoon. It also plays the role of monsoon dynamics. There is a dynamism in the monsoon system. There is a reversal of the monsoon, there is a coming of the monsoon. So monsoon is very much dependent on the trapping of the southwest monsoon, that the rains are coming through that. So Himalayas provide a barrier that you should stop here. So Himalayas is also playing, and that is why we see that the climate is being controlled, and because of that we see that there is a huge diversity, biodiversity, because when you have water, you have a proper climate, you see that there is a lot of changes in the region, on the landscape. So we are a tropical region, in a tropical region, and then beyond that subtropical region, we see that there is a very much effect of Himalayas on the climate and the biodiversity of those regions. It also affects agriculture. It provides a rain shadow effect. This is the role that Himalayas are playing. It also provides. They are the origin of the glaciers and the rivers. They provide water, fresh water to the region, to the Indian subcontinent, thereby regulating the climate and the biodiversity of the region. Influence on regional climate, biodiversity hotspot, it provides ecological significance, endemic species. There are a lot of endemic species which are found in the region only. Ecological niche in adaptations, role in climate regulation, environmental challenges and conservation. So when you examine positive aspects, you also examine that how it is also affecting that development in the Himalayan areas is affecting the climate change, because you see that a lot of landslides happening in the regions where we see that which are very much vulnerable to the earthquakes, the movement of the plates, right, tectonics, right. So you just highlight those areas. The glaciers are declining, the glaciers are melting. So if this situation happens to be continue, you might see that there is a global warming effect which may eliminate all the fresh water from the regions, from the glaciers. So you just highlight those challenges, issues and concerns, and provide a way forward to it, and then conclude your answer, right. Next question is, discuss the significance of ocean currents in global climate regulation. This is a very straightforward question. So, but simple question, easily can be addressed. Discuss the significance of ocean currents in global climate regulations. Direct significance is asking that in climate regulation, what add-on you can do, you just add on, you draw a diagram of the ocean currents, right. That you just draw a very brief diagram that how the ocean currents are flowing and how it is. You can also show the climate variability in the climate. This is the ocean current and this is the climate. This is the ocean current and this is the climate in this area, right. So this is very impactful, visualizable, which is connecting with the examiner very much strongly, right. So it redistributes heat, influence on weather and climate patterns, role in carbon sequestration, thermohaline circulation, global conveyor belts, all that. Impact on ocean currents on natural disasters, right? Marine ecosystem support, etc. And this is how you have to conclude your answer. Very straightforward. Evaluate the challenges and opportunities of desertification in India. So in introduction, you will briefly describe what is the process of desertifications and where it is happening. Just try to connect with one example, right? Rajasthan, Gujarat, etc. These are the areas which you can connect with. So first write the challenges and evaluate those challenges. You connect a valuable judgment to it, whether it is good, bad, or indifferent. It may affect human civilizations or human development, human growth, etc., etc. Right? It will affect, like desertification leads to declining soil fertility and crop productivity. So you have given a valuable judgment on the process of desertification. It will affect the food security. It will affect the food security. Water scarcity. This is another challenge. Threat to biodiversity, livelihood and migration issues, climate change amplification, economic cost. So these were the challenges. What is the opportunities? There is a promotion of sustainable land management, investment in soil like soil health card, development of the watershed. We have government schemes, Krishi Sichai Yojana, technological innovations, renewable energy potential, policy and global cooperation. Take reference of UNCCD. It is a very straightforward questions, not to be worried about it. Easy to understand. It provides employment generation opportunity. Like if desertification is happening, so you can use Manrega scheme to engage people, provide rural employment. And this is how easily you can summarize it and provide a way forward to it. Right? The next question is explain the role of GIS, Geographical information systems and remote sensing. Explain the role of GIS and remote sensing in disaster management and planning. So these technologies are very much important for management of disasters and the planning of areas. That which part must be developed in what sense. It provides a sense of development to the particular region, right? So in introduction you will define it. What is GIS and remote sensing, right? Then you will highlight the role of remote sensing, then GIS in different phases of disaster management, how it can provide it provides risk assessment preparedness, right? It provides a response and relief operations opportunities because use of technology can reduce excesses or the wastage. It provides efficiency and effectiveness optimization. Real-time monitoring happens. Damage assessment, resource allocation, recovery and rehabilitation, mitigation and planning. This is a very straightforward question, so you have to just answer it. And then conclusion. So these were the questions which you were supposed to write in the way, but make sure that you use a lot of maps, you use a lot of diagrams to explain the phenomena or the mechanisms of atmosphere, mechanisms which happen to be very much important for the survival of the civilizations or the earth, right? Thank you all for the discussions on the first paper of geography.